going to line the interior of our model railroad with foam insulation board. Now this is material that they use to insulate houses with when they build them. This is 1 inch thick, and it comes in 4x8 sheets. You can get it at just about any home center. I had to cut it into strips to fit it into my car. If you can work with a full 4x8 sheet, you're a lot better off, but we'll piece this together and we'll make it work. In order to cut this, we're going to need a knife, need your tape measure, and we'll need our straight edge again. I need to trim these pieces up so that they will fit our layout base, so let me show you how to do that. These sheets are made to fit together using a tongue and groove method, and on this particular piece we've got the tongue left here. We can't have that on our project, so coming in with my knife, I'm just going to carefully slice that off, and I'll do it in a couple of passes. All right, so you can see once we've cut through it, we can just snap this stuff right off. But where we've got this rough edge here, all I'm going to do is come in with a sanding sponge, clean it up, nice and smooth. That's all you need to do. I'm going to take the rest of the tongue off, and then we'll cut this to size to fit it in our layout base. I've already cut the foam sections to the proper width to fit inside our layout base, but we have to cut them to length yet. So I'll show you how to cut the foam. It's very easy. Take our tape measure. Mark 58 3/8 inches, and we'll do the other side, 58 3/8. Okay, next thing we'll do is we'll bring our straight edge back. I'm going to line it up, take my utility knife again. I'm going to make a real light first pass just to start the cut line. Make sure it stays next to the straight edge. Now I'll come back and make a second pass that's deeper. At this point I can take the straight edge out because I have a deep enough cut for the blade to follow. I'll take the full depth of the blade now through the foam like that. Now the nice thing about foam is that once you've got it cut part way through, you just put a little pressure on it and peel it right off. Like that. This one's done. Let's cut the next one. Before we move on, we really should test fit this to make sure it's all going to go into the base properly. I've got one piece in here already. And the other piece slips in just the way it should, which is great. Now we can move on to our next step, which will be to cover the foam with our grass scenery layer. This is a vinyl grass mat, and it's made by Woodland Scenics. It has a vinyl backer on one side, and then on the other it's covered with this green ground foam that's going to simulate the grass for our model railroad. To attach this to the foam, we have to use a special glue. This is a matte adhesive, and it works just like a contact cement. We'll brush it on both sides and stick them together. Now you can apply the matte adhesive with a brush, but since we have a large surface area, I'm going to use this foam roller. Shake it up really good. And we'll pour it in this disposable paint tray. Put the roller in the pan. Let it soak it up. And away we go. You want to make sure that you don't put it on too thin. That's the hazard of using the foam roller. It does need to have good coverage. All right, we've got almost all of our foam covered. I'm just looking for spots that it's a little light. We need to let this dry to the point where it gets clear and tacky. You get about 2 hours worth of working time with this, but it isn't going to do us any good until the white turns clear. I'm going to move the foam out of the way, and we'll bring our vinyl mat in and coat that too. I flipped our layout base upside down on top of my work table to make a nice work surface, and then I rolled out our vinyl mat on it so that I can coat it with more of the matte adhesive. All right. Okay, our adhesive has turned clear on the mat and on our foam board, so we're ready to put the two pieces together. You're going to want some help to do this, so I've got my friend Kent here to give me a hand. So let's put the first board down. Kent is holding the mat nice and flat for me. Okay, now we're going to flip it over, smooth out the air bubbles, and trim the edges. One of the things we need to do with the mat yet is that we've got some air bubbles in here. We need to try and work those out as carefully as we can. This is just a good old-fashioned wood wallpaper roller, and it's a nice tool for just coming along an air bubble and working it to the edge. You want to try and get the air to come out from under the mat, so always work from the center out. I've got a little spot here where I've got an air pocket that's trapped and it won't come out easily, so I've got a pin. I'm just going to poke a hole through the mat. And you can see that the bubble just comes right down. There we go, nice and smooth. All right, with the vinyl mat attached and the air bubbles run out, the last thing to do with it is to trim up the edges, and then we can mount it into the base of our layout. Using my utility knife again, I'm just going to lay it right next to the edge of the foam and cut. Vinyl's very soft, so it should only take one pass. And there we go. I'll do the others, and we'll put it into the base. The next step for building the base for our family layout project is to insert the foam into the frame that we've already built. To glue it all down, I'm going to use this. This is DAP Dynaflex 230. It's strictly silicone caulk, but it really works well as a construction adhesive. To use the Dynaflex, you need to just take your utility knife again, and we have to cut off a small part of the tip of the tube here. Just like that. And the caulk should be ready to go. All right, we're going to start by laying a bead of caulk right along the edge. This is a plastic disposable putty knife, and we're going to use it to just start smoothing our caulk blobs, because if we leave them like this, it'll actually, you won't get the best adhesion. So we're going to flatten this out a bit. Okay, our caulk is smoothed out inside the base. I've got an extra little bead run along all of the lip here to hold our foam in place. So Kent has come back to give me a hand one more time. And we'll lift this guy up and set it into place. Just dip it into the corner, push it down. Remember, we have two pieces of foam here, so ours folds. And it should just slip in. We need to give this 24 hours to dry so that everything is solid before we start the next step, which is laying track. And that is video number 3. So I'm going to put these books down, and we'll see you next time.